The solution isn't willpower, it's boundaries. Put your phone in another room 30 minutes before bed. If that feels impossible, ask what's more important, my mental clarity or one more scroll. Finally, the most overlooked truth, sleep isn't just rest, it's recalibration. The ancient warriors, monks and scholars didn't just go to bed. They prepared for it like a sacred ritual because they knew the night doesn't just end your day, it designs your tomorrow. The 10-minute reset, not what you think. You've heard it 1,000 times. Meditate before bed. But let's be honest, most people don't. Why? Because it feels like another task, another thing you should do, but don't. So let's reframe it. This isn't meditation. This isn't spiritual. This is a neurological reset. A way to tell your body the day is over. We're safe. Now here's how it works. Sit on the edge of your bed, not lying down. That's for sleep. Sitting upright signals alertness. Close your eyes. Don't force anything. Just breathe normally. Then gently guide your breath. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4. Exhale for 6. Repeat 5 times. That's it. Why these numbers? The extended exhale triggers your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode. It's like pressing a biological off switch for stress. But here's the key. Don't focus on doing it right. Focus on the pause between breaths. That's silent. Now, what's really going on beneath the surface when you're stressed? Your body holds tension like a clenched fist. You might not even notice it. Tight shoulders, a locked jaw, shallow breathing. This isn't just physical. It's your body stuck in fight or flight, waiting for the next threat. And if you sleep like that, you wake up tired because your body never fully shut down. The 4-4-4-46 breath is a direct countermeasure. The hold after inhaling balances oxygen and CO2, calling your heart rate. The long exhale releases trapped tension. Think of it like rebooting a computer. You're not adding new software, you're clearing the system's cache. But here's where people miss the point. They treat this like a mechanical exercise. Inhale, hold, exhale, done. That's like washing your hands without soap. The power isn't in the counting, it's in the awareness. As you breathe, notice where your mind wanders to tomorrow's meeting, to an old regret. That's normal. Don't judge it, just gently return to the breath. Each return is a rep for your focus muscle. And over time, this builds mental discipline, the kind that helps you stay calm in chaos. Now let's address resistance. Maybe you're thinking, I don't have 10 minutes. Here's the truth. You do. You're just spending it on things that drain you instead. Those last few minutes scrolling, that's your 10 minutes. The time spent replaying a conversation, that's your 10 minutes. This isn't about adding to your day, it's about redirecting wasted energy. And if 10 minutes still feels like too much, start with 2. 2 minutes of breathing beats, 20 minutes of mental chaos, the deeper layer. This practice isn't just for sleep, it's training for life. When you learn to observe your breath without reacting, you start observing emotions the same way. Anger arises. Instead of exploding, you notice it. Fear kicks in. You pause. This is the foundation of emotional mastery, and it begins with just 10 minutes at night. Finally, a note on consistency. Don't expect miracles after one session. This is like brushing your teeth. You do it daily to prevent decay. Some nights your mind will feel clear, other nights it'll race. That's fine. The practice isn't about controlling the mind. It's about remembering you're not the mind. You're the awareness behind it, and that's where true peace lives. The question that unlocks clarity. There is a moment each evening when the world quiets down, when the distractions fade and you are left alone with your thoughts. This is the most important moment of your life. Though most people waste it. They fill it with noise, with television, with scrolling, with empty conversations because silence feels uncomfortable. But in that silence lies a question so simple yet so powerful that it can reshape your entire tomorrow. Ask yourself, what is one small step I can take tomorrow toward what matters? Not a grand plan, not a distant dream, one action, one movement forward. The size does not matter. What matters is the direction. Most people spend their lives waiting for motivation, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting until they feel ready. But readiness is a myth. You will never feel ready to climb a mountain, but you can always tie your shoes. You will never feel ready to write a book, but you can always write one sentence. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not crossed in a single leap. It is crossed in small, deliberate steps. Steps so small that they almost feel insignificant. But it is these steps that build bridges. Think of your mind like a river. When you focus on the distant future, on the someday dreams, the current is too strong. You get swept away in the enormity of it all. But when you focus on the next step, the water slows, you can see clearly, you can move with intention. This is why the question is so important. It forces you to narrow your vision, to bring your focus down from the clouds and into your hands. What is one thing I can do tomorrow? Not someday, not eventually, tomorrow. And here is the key. You must write it down. Not in your phone, not in your mind on paper. There is something powerful about the act of writing, about seeing your intention in your own handwriting. It makes it real. It makes it a contract with yourself. When you wake up, that piece of paper should be the first thing you see. Not your phone, not the news, not the chaos of the world, your intention, your next step. Some will say, but what if I don't know what matters? Then your first step is simple. Sit in silence for 5 minutes and ask yourself, what would make today meaningful? Do not rush the answer. Let it come. If nothing comes, then your step is to sit again tomorrow. The clarity will come, but only if you create space for it. Most people never hear their own thoughts because they are always listening to someone else's. Others will say, what if my step feels too small? Good, it should feel small. The smaller the better. The goal is not to overwhelm yourself. The goal is to move. A single email sent, a single page read, a single minute of practice. These are the seeds of progress. They may not look like much today, but in a year they will have grown into something you could not have imagined. And what happens when you take that step? You ask the question again the next night and the next and the next. Over time, these small steps become and that path becomes your life. The forbidden pre-sleep habit. There is a habit so common, so deeply ingrained in modern life that most people do not even question it. Yet this habit is quietly stealing their peace, their focus, and their ability. It is the last thing they do before sleep and the first thing they do upon waking. It is the glow of the screen in the dark, the endless scroll, the constant pool of information that has nothing to do with them. It is the habit of checking the phone before bed. Most people know on some level that this is not good for them. They have heard about blue light and sleep disruption. But the problem is deeper than that, far deeper. When you expose your mind to the digital world before sleep, you are not just harming your rest. You are poisoning your subconscious. You are filling your mind with other people's thoughts, other people's agendas, other people's chaos. And then you wonder why you wake up anxious, why your dreams are unsettled, why your thoughts feel scattered. The mind before sleep is like soft clay. Whatever touches it leaves an impression. When you scroll through social media, you are pressing the worries of the world, the envy of comparison, the stress of headlines into that clay. When you check emails, you are inviting work into your rest. When you watch videos, you are overstimulating a brain that is begging for stillness. And then you expect to close your eyes and drift into peaceful sleep. It does not work that way. The ancients understood this. They did not have phones, but they knew the importance of guarding the mind before sleep. They spoke of evening hygiene, not just for the body, but for the spirit. They prepared for sleep like one prepares for a sacred ritual, because they knew that the last thoughts before sleep shape the first thoughts upon waking. They knew that the mind does not simply shut off, it lingers on what it was last given. So what is the alternative? It is simple, though not easy. Put the phone away. Not just out of reach, out of sight. Better yet, out of the room an hour before sleep. Let the screens fade. Let the artificial light disappear. Let the noise stop. This is not about willpower. It is about respect for your mind, for your time, your life. Some will resist, but I need my alarm. They say buy an alarm clock. But what if someone needs me? Unless you are a surgeon on call. The world can wait. But it's my only time to relax. That is not relaxation. That is distraction. True relaxation is stillness. It is presence. It is allowing your mind to unwind instead of feeding it more stimulation. And if the silence feels uncomfortable at first, good. That discomfort is the sound of your mind detoxing. Sit with it. Breathe through it. Let it pass. Over time, you will begin to crave this quiet. You will start to notice how much clearer your thoughts are in the morning, how much deeper your sleep feels, how much more control you have over your focus. Because here is the truth. The phone is not the problem. The problem is what the phone represents, a life lived on someone else's terms. A mind constantly pulled in directions it did not choose, a soul that never gets to rest because it is always plugged in. You have a CH. You can let the last hours of your day belong to others, to advertisers, to influencers, to strangers on the internet, or you can reclaim them. You can make them yours. You can decide what enters your mind before sleep. Choose wisely. Your tomorrow depends on it. How to program your dreams. There is a secret language your subconscious understands better than words, the language of feeling. Most people approach visualization like watching a movie of their future success. But this is only half the equation. The difference between those who manifest their dreams and those who stay stuck isn't in the clarity of their vision, but in the depth of their emotional connection to it. When you lie down at night in that twilight state between waking and sleeping, your mind becomes extraordinarily receptive. This is the moment when the boundary between imagination and reality softens. Ancient traditions called this the hypnagogic state, a doorway where thoughts begin to transform into experiences. Here's how to use it properly. First, relax your body completely. Start from your toes and work upward, releasing tension from each muscle group. Then, rather than constructing elaborate scenarios, choose one simple moment that represents your goal already achieved. For example, if your desire is financial freedom, don't visualize stacks of money. Instead, imagine opening your bank account and seeing a specific number that would mean security to you. Feel the weight of your body in the chair as you see it. Notice how your breath changes when that relief washes over you. Hear the subtle sounds around you in that imagined moment. The key is to engage all your senses, not as an observer, but as someone experiencing it right now. This practice works because of how your brain processes experience. Neuroscientists have found that the same neural pathways light up whether you're actually doing something or just vividly imagining it. When you consistently pair a clear image with strong emotion before sleep, your subconscious begins working on solutions while you rest. You'll notice synchronicities appearing. Chance meetings, unexpected opportunities, sudden insights, all moving you toward that felt reality. Many fail at this because they approach it with the energy of lack. They visualize from a place of "I don't have this yet," which only reinforces the absence. The masters of manifestation understand you must generate a feeling of already possessing what you desire, not as wishful thinking, but as a lived experience in your nervous system. This is why children are so good at imaginative play. They fully embody their fantasies without skepticism. A common mistake is changing the visualizing too often. The subconscious responds to repetition, not variety. Choose one core scene and return to it nightly for at least each time. Go deeper into the sensory details. What does the air smell like in your imagined success? What texture do your clothes have? These concrete details signal to your brain that this is real experience to be integrated. The most powerful time for this practice is just as you're drifting to. In this state, your critical faculty, the part that doubts, is relaxed, allowing the images and feelings to penetrate deeper into your subcon. Keep a notebook by your bed to record any insights, dreams, or ideas that come upon waking. Often, the solutions you've been seeking will appear in the morning's first thoughts when your mind is still connected to that creative state. Remember that this isn't about forcing outcomes or manipulating the universe. It's about aligning your inner world so clearly with your desires that your outer world has no choice but to reflect it back. The ancient teachers understood this principle well. What we consistently feel ourselves to be, we become. Your nightly visualizing isn't an escape from reality. It's the construction of a new one. The silent culprit killing manifestation. There is an invisible thief stealing your energy every night, and its name is unfinished business. That email you didn't send, that apology you postponed, that bill you forgot to pay. These aren't just tasks left undone. They are open loops in your psyche, each one draining your focus and scattering your mental resources. Your mind hates incompletion. It will cling to unresolved matters like a dog worrying a bone, returning to them again and again in the background of your awareness. Modern psychology confirms what ancient wisdom traditions always knew. The Zeigarnik effect proves we remember uncompleted tasks better than completed ones. Your brain keeps bringing them up, not to torment you, but to remind you to finish what you started. Every unattended item on your mental checklist creates low-grade stress that accumulates like static electricity, eventually short-circuiting your ability to focus on what matters. The solution isn't to complete everything, That's impossible. The solution is to either take action or make a clear decision about when you will. Here's how. In the last hour before bed, take 10 minutes with a notebook. Write down every unfinished task weighing on you, no matter how small. Then apply the 2-minute rule. If it can be done in 2 minutes or less, do it immediately. Send that quick text, schedule that appointment, pay that bill. For larger items, assign them a specific time in your calendar to address tomorrow or later in the week. The act of scheduling is itself a form of completion. You're telling your brain, I've got this handled then. And this is crucial. Physically cross each item off your list as you either complete it or schedule it. This simple gesture signals closure to your nervous system. The most damaging unfinished business isn't in your to-do list though. It's in your relationships. That conversation you've been avoiding, that resentment you're nursing, that gratitude you haven't expressed. These create the most powerful psychic drag. They can't always be resolved in an evening, but you can take a step. Write the email you'll send tomorrow. Draft the text of your apology. Even if you don't send it, the act of composition often brings clarity. Many people's sleep suffers not because of what they're doing before bed, but because of what they're not doing. Their subconscious keeps trying to solve daytime problems all night long. You recognize this if you wake up at 3:00 a.m. with your mind racing. This is your brain's attempt to find closure while you're vulnerable to distraction. The antidote is to create intentional closure each evening. A powerful practice is the mental shutdown ritual. After you've addressed your list, take 3 minutes to sit quietly and mentally review your day. Acknowledge what went well. Note what needs improvement. Then imagine placing all of it, the good and the bad, into a mental filing cabinet and closing the drawer. You might even use a physical gesture like washing your hands or brushing off your shoulders to symbolize the highest performers in any field understand this principle instinctively. They know that true productivity isn't about how many hours you work. It's about how completely you can focus during the hours you do work. And focus depends on mental clarity, which depends on regularly clearing away the debris of unfinished business. Your ability to manifest isn't hindered by some cosmic force or personal deficiency. It's being blocked by these 100 small leaks in your attention. Plug them systematically each night and you'll be amazed at how much more energy and clarity you have to move toward your true desires. The path to your dreams isn't through adding more. It's through subtracting what's weighing you down. Remember this, the quality of your sleep determines the quality of your waking life. And the quality of your sleep is determined by how completely you can release the day. Master this release and you master the art of manifestation. Why gratitude backfires and what to do instead. Gratitude has become another item on the checklist of self-improvement. Another box to tick before we allow ourselves to. We're taught to list 3 things we're grateful for, rushing through them like a bedtime chore, and wonder why we don't feel transformed. The problem isn't with gratitude itself, it's with how we've been taught to practice it. When gratitude becomes generic, when we mechanically list my health, my family, my home night after night without feeling anything, we're not cultivating thankfulness. We're performing mental gymnastics that leave our spirit on. True gratitude isn't about quantity or even about the grand things. It's about depth of feeling. Think of the last time you truly felt grateful. Not when you knew you should feel grateful, but when gratitude washed over you unexpectedly. Maybe it was when you took the first sip of coffee in the morning. When a stranger held the door for you with a smile. When you heard a child's genuine laughter. These moments carry power because they're specific, because they're tied to sensory experience, because they surprised you with their simplicity. This is the kind of gratitude that rewires your brain. Instead of listing 3 things every night, try this, close your eyes and scan your day like a film reel. Look not for the obvious highlights, but for the small moments where you felt fully present, where life felt rich, even if just for a few seconds. Maybe it was the warmth of sunlight through a window, the satisfying crunch of fresh vegetables at lunch, the way your body felt after stretching. Choose just one, then for 20 seconds, which will feel much longer than you think. Relive that moment. Hear the sounds again, see the colors, feel the sensations in your body. This kind of gratitude practice does something remarkable. It trains your brain to look for these moments as you move through your day, turning ordinary life into a series of small discoveries rather than obstacles to overcome. The science behind this is fascinating. When we recall an experience with vivid sensory detail, our brain releases many of the same neurotransmitters it did during the original event. You're not just remembering joy, you're re-experiencing over time. And this creates neural pathways that make it easier to notice and appreciate positive moments as they happen. You become like a photographer who starts seeing potential compositions everywhere. Not because the world changed, but because your attention did. Many people resist this practice at first. My day was terrible. There were no good moments, they might say, but this is precisely when the practice is most valuable. Even on the worst days, there are these tiny islands of acquiescence. The comfort of your pillow when you first lay down, the way hot water relaxes your shoulders in the shower. By training yourself to spot these, you're not denying life's difficulties, you're balancing your perspective so challenges don't dominate your entire mental landscape. There's another reason traditional gratitude lists often fail. They focus solely on what we have, not on what we've overcome. Sometimes the most powerful gratitude comes from remembering where you used to struggle that's now easy. The fears you face that no longer control you, the small victories of daily life that went unnoticed. This kind of gratitude connects you to your growth, not just your possession. It's the difference between being thankful for a house and being thankful for the peace you've created within. As you make this practice habitual, you'll notice something subtle but profound. You begin collecting these moments throughout your day, not just at night. You'll pause to really taste your food instead of eating mindlessly. You'll notice the play of shadows on buildings. You'll find yourself smiling at small interactions you would have previously overlooked. This isn't about positive thinking, it's about present thinking. The more you practice retrieving these moments at night, the more available they become during the day until eventually you're living in a state of gentle appreciation without trying. The ultimate purpose of this practice isn't to make you feel good, though that's a pleasant side effect. It's to reshape your baseline perception of reality. Most people go through life with a negativity bias. Their attention automatically wanders to what's wrong, what's missing, what could be dangerous. By deliberately focusing on micro moments of aliveness, you're recalibrating your attention to notice the full spectrum of experience, not just the shadows. You're not denying darkness exists, you're refusing to let it blind you to the light that's equally present. The 2-minute rule for deep sleep preparation doesn't need to be complicated to be effective. Some of the most powerful rituals are disarmingly simple, so simple that most people overlook them, searching instead for elaborate solutions. Consider the humble glass of water. It sits on nightstands everywhere, utterly ordinary, yet it holds the potential to become a profound tool for transformation when approached with intention. Here's how. Each night before bed, fill a glass with clean water. Hold it in both hands for a moment before setting it down. As you do, say aloud, "I will wake up refreshed knowing what to do." Then go to sleep. In the morning, drink the water immediately upon waking. Before checking your phone or starting your day, this practice works on multiple levels. On the physical level, it ensures you hydrate first thing in the morning, counteracting the mild dehydration that occurs during sleep. But the true power lies in the psychological and symbolic. The act of holding the water becomes a physical anchor for your intention, a tangible representation of the clarity you wish to cultivate. The words you speak aloud, though they may feel silly at first, program your subconscious to expect purposeful awakening. When you drink the water in the morning, it becomes a ritual completion, sealing the intention you set the night before. Why does something so simple have such impact? Because the human mind responds powerfully to ritual and repetition. The consistency of performing the same action night after night creates a conditioned response. Your body and mind begin to associate this small ritual with the transition to restful sleep. It's not magic, it's normal. Just as Pavlov's dogs learn to associate a bell with food, you're teaching your nervous system to associate this ritual with calm, purposeful sleep and wakefulness. Many sleep struggles stem from an inability to transition effectively between states of consciousness. We go from screens to pillows with no buffer, then wonder why our minds race. The water ritual creates a deliberate pause, a moment where you consciously choose your state rather than defaulting to whatever your day has left you. The physicality of it, the coolness of the glass, the weight of the water, the sound of pouring grounds you in your body, and the present moment pulling you out of the mental chatter that can interfere with sleep. The morning component is equally important. Most people sabotage their days within minutes of waking by immediately exposing themselves to digital stimulation. Emails, news, social media that scatters their focus and sets a reactive tone. Drinking the water first creates a buffer of presence. As you drink, you can recall your intention from the night before, allowing your mind to wake up gradually and purposefully rather than being hijacked by external demands. Skeptics might dismiss this as placebo, but that misses the point. The placebo effect is one of the most powerful forces in human psychology. The expectation of an outcome actually helps create that outcome. When you sincerely expect to wake up refreshed and clear-headed, you're more likely to notice and act on morning insights rather than dismissing them. You prime yourself for productive action rather than groggy reaction. Over time, this practice cultivates something more valuable than good sleep. It cultivates trust in yourself. Each night when you set the water down, you're making a promise to your future self, Faye. Each morning when you drink it, you're honoring that promise. This tiny cycle of intention and fulfillment, repeated daily, builds self-trust in a way that grand but inconsistent gestures cannot. You prove to yourself that you can show up for yourself in small, meaningful ways. The water itself isn't special. You could use any object, but water carries particular symbolic weight across cultures as a purifier, a conduit, a mirror. When you look into the glass at night, you're subtly confronting yourself, your commitment to your own well-being. When you drink it in the morning, you're internalizing that commitment. The ritual becomes a daily dialogue between your nighttime and morning self, a way to bridge the gap between intention and action. For those who struggle with racing thoughts at night, adding one element can deepen the practice. After setting down the water, take 3 slow breaths while imagining pouring any lingering worries or mental chatter into the glass. Visualize the water absorbing all that unnecessary mental energy, leaving your mind clear. In the morning as you drink, imagine reclaiming only what serves you from that energy, leaving the rest to be. This transforms the water from a simple hydrator into a symbolic filter for your consciousness. The beauty of this practice lies in its simplicity and adaptability. It requires no special equipment, no financial investment, no significant time commitment. Yet it creates a structure around which more elaborate practices can eventually grow. A foundation of ritual and intentionality that can support deeper work. Start with the water. Be consistent with just. Then observe how this small act of care reverberates through your days and nights, creating space for both rest and purpose to flourish. Ultimately, this isn't really about sleep. It's about reclaiming agency over your state of being. In a world that constantly pulls us outward, the glass of water becomes an anchor to our inner world, a reminder that the simplest acts performed with presence and repetition can reshape our experience from the inside out. The path to mastering your mind doesn't always require grand gestures. Sometimes it begins with something as ordinary as a glass of water and a willingness to see the extraordinary in the everyday. When manifestation fails, the missing piece, the most frustrating moment in personal growth comes when you've done everything right, visualized clearly, set intentions, taken action, yet nothing changed. You begin questioning whether manifestation works at all. Or if perhaps you are somehow broken, missing some secret ingredient others seem to possess. What nobody tells you is that manifestation isn't about convincing the universe to give you what you want. It's about removing the inner blocks that prevent you from recognizing what's already available. The missing piece isn't in your technique, it's in your subconscious belief system. The quiet but powerful voice that whispers whether you truly deserve or can achieve what you seek. This explains why 2 people can follow identical manifestation practices with completely different results. One attracts opportunities effortlessly, while the other keeps hitting invisible walls. The difference lies in what psychologists call self-concept. The deeply held beliefs about who you are and what's possible for you. Your subconscious isn't impressed by your daytime affirmations. It responds to what you genuinely believe at your core. When there's a conflict between your conscious desires and subconscious beliefs, the subconscious always wins. This is why people unconsciously sabotage their own success. Their surface-level desires clash with their deeper programming. Tonight, try this instead of another visualization. Sit quietly and ask, what's one undeniable proof that I'm capable? Not a general, I'm awesome statement, but concrete evidence from your own life. Maybe you once negotiated a better deal, finished a difficult project, or handled a tough conversation with grace. These moments matter because they're your personal foundation of belief. Most people overlook their small wins while focusing on perceived failures, creating a lopsided self-image. By deliberately recalling specific evidence of your capabilities, you're not building false confidence. You're balancing the scales of your self-perception. The brain's reticular activating system, the filter that determines what we notice in our environment, operates on proof. It reinforces what we already believe to be true. If you believe you're bad with money, you'll notice every financial mishap while overlooking opportunity. But when you collect and revisit genuine evidence of your competence, you reprogram this filter to start spotting possibilities instead of obstacles. This isn't positive thinking, it's accurate thinking, acknowledging the full picture of who you are rather than just a shortcoming. Many manifestation techniques fail because they skip this crucial step of establishing believable foundations. Telling someone who's broke to affirm, "I'm a millionaire," creates cognitive dissonance. Their mind rejects the statement as untrue. But affirming, "I'm capable of learning wealth principles," or "I've successfully managed money before when I put my mind to it," these statements feel true because they are true. They provide a bridge between current reality and desired future. This is how lasting change happens, not through quantum leaps of faith, but through stepping stones of demonstrable truth. The resistance you feel towards certain goals often reveals where your subconscious beliefs don't match your conscious desire. That nagging voice saying, "Who do you think you are?" isn't there to torment you. It's pointing exactly where your work lies. Each time you counter it with actual evidence from your life. "I thought I couldn't do X, but then I did Y," you weaken its whole. This is the unglamorous work of real transformation. Not just imagining the future you want, but dismantling the hidden obstacles within yourself that prevent its emergence. When manifestation seems to fail, it's often because we're trying to grow flowers in concrete. No amount of positive thinking can flourish until we first break up the hardened layers of limiting beliefs beneath the surface. Your past contains all the proof you need, not of perfection, but of progress. That time you spoke up when you normally wouldn't have. The moment you chose courage over comfort. The day you took action despite fear. These aren't just memories. They're building materials for your new foundation. The morning mirror trick. The first 10 minutes after waking are the most psychologically vulnerable time of your day. Your brainwaves are still transitioning from sleep to full alertness. Your subconscious is unusually accessible, and whatever input you receive during this window sinks deeper than at any other time. Most people immediately surrender this precious mental state to their phones, flooding their fresh awareness with emails, news, and social media feeds that set the tone for the entire day. There's a better way, and it begins with your reflection. Literally, here's the practice. Before reaching for your phone, before even leaving your bed, walk to a mirror, look yourself directly in the eyes, not at your flaws or appearance, but into your own gaze. Then say aloud, "Today I fill the blank with one quality you want to embody that day. Not a goal to achieve, but a way of being. Today I choose patience works better than today. I won't get angry. Today I choose bold action is more powerful than today I'll finally start that project." The wording matters because your subconscious responds to positive declarations, not negations. This simple act does several profound things simultaneously. First, it reclaims your morning agency. You're deciding how to show up rather than reacting to external demands. Second, the physical act of speaking to your reflection engages multiple senses: visual, auditory, kinesthetic, making the intention more embodied than silent thoughts alone. Third, by doing this before any other input, you establish an internal compass that helps filter subsequent decisions when distractions arise. You can ask, Does this align with what I chose this morning? The mirror amplifies the practice because eye contact, even with yourself, triggers deep psychological responses. We're wired to connect with others through gaze, and directing that powerful connection inward creates self-accountability. You're not just thinking a thought. You're making a promise to someone whose opinion matters. You, the people who consistently follow through on their intentions, have simply learned to respect themselves as much as they respect others. Making requests of them. Most morning routines focus on doing exercise, journaling, meditation. This practice is about being. The quality you choose becomes a lens through which you interpret and respond to everything that follows. If you choose patience, traffic jams become practice opportunities rather than frustrations. If you choose curiosity, challenging people become interesting studies rather than annoyances. The events of your day don't change your relationship to them thus. The magic lies in the consistency. Doing this once won't transform your life, but over time these daily choices accumulate into identity. If you wake up every morning and declare, "Today I choose confidence," even when you don't feel it, you're not lying to yourself. You're casting a vote for who you're becoming. Neural pathways strengthen with repetition. And eventually, what began as a conscious choice becomes an automatic way of being. This is how lasting change occurs, not through dramatic overhauls, but through daily micro-decisions that gradually rewrite your self-concept. The 10-minute phone delay is crucial because digital input immediately pulls you outward into other people's agendas. That first hit of dopamine from checking messages sets a reactive tone for the day. You're already in response mode rather than creation mode. The mirror practice keeps you centered in your own authority a little longer, strengthening your ability to act from intention rather than impulse as the day progresses. Some mornings the words will feel hollow. You look in the mirror exhausted or discouraged and think, how can I choose joy when I feel like this? Those are the most important days to do it anyway. Not as denial of your feelings, but as a reminder that you contain multitudes. You can feel tired and choose perseverance. You can feel afraid and choose courage. The practice isn't about erasing human emotions. It's about not letting them dictate your entire day. The qualities you choose will evolve as you do. Early on, you might focus on foundational traits like discipline or self-respect. Later, you might play with more nuanced choices like today, I choose to see the good in people, or today I choose ease. Some days you'll forget until noon, then do it anyway. The practice is forgiving because it's not about perfection. It's about breeze. Even remembering to do it 3 times a week creates momentum. What makes this different from positive thinking is its grounding in the present moment. You're not telling yourself, I'm the most confident person ever. You're making a manageable commitment for one day. This keeps it believable and therefore actionable. Over time, you'll notice patterns, certain choices that feel energizing, others that feel forced. These are clues to your authentic values versus what you think you should want. The morning mirror ritual ultimately teaches you to become your own wisest counsel. Instead of waking up asking, what does the world want from me today? You learn to ask, how do I want to meet the world today? This subtle shift changes everything. Not because it alters external circumstances, but because it returns to you the power no circumstance can take. The freedom to choose your stance toward whatever comes. And that changes not just your days, but your life. Manifestation isn't about controlling the universe. It's about preparing your mind to recognize opportunities. Tonight, don't just fall asleep, use it. The most successful people don't have more time. How do I want to meet the world today? It sounds like a simple question. Yet the weight it carries can completely change the trajectory of your life. Most of us wake up and immediately fall into reaction mode, emails, messages, news, deadlines, letting the world dictate our mood, our focus, our energy. But what if, instead of waiting to see what the day throws at us, we started by choosing how we want to meet it? That single intentional shift takes the power away from circumstances and puts it back where it belongs within you. Because no matter what happens today, you still get to decide your stance toward it. That's real freedom. That's where transformation begins. See, manifestation isn't about controlling the universe. It's not about bending reality to your will or expecting life to go exactly as you planned. That's not how the most successful, fulfilled people live. The secret is this: they don't waste their energy trying to control the uncontrollable. Instead, they focus on controlling what they can: their mindset, their preparation, their openness to opportunity.